Have you heard somebody quote Matthew 15:24, which says, "But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel," and then basically turn around and say, this basically says that Jesus was only sent to save the Jews, the house of Israel. I'm going to show you next how this is actually not true. Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Israel and we make videos just like this one today to help you learn the Bible for yourself and also live the Bible also. So make sure if you like this video at any point during the video, make sure you like the video by hitting the thumbs up. And if you want to learn how to master the Bible, get a free copy of our Bible Mastery in the description box. So you generally will hear this from a group known as the Hebrew Israelites. They want you to basically believe this, at least some of them want you to believe this, so they can basically have you believe that they are the only special ones. Jesus didn't come to save the Gentiles or anything like that. He only came to save the Jews, which subsequently, bear in mind, they'll tell you that that was actually them. So they are the ones that are saved. No one else is saved. And you may hear this from Muslims as well. And the reason the Muslims will basically try and say Jesus was trying to teach this is because they don't want Jesus to be sort of like the last significant prophet or person sent to basically gather people back to God. So ultimately, they want to basically switch up what Jesus is actually saying here, so it can kind of look like they can smuggle in their prophet and actually make it seem like, you know, yes, there was another prophet that was actually to come after in regards to keeping the law. Now, the mistake that the Hebrew Israelite is making is he is basically, or she is basically reading just one line. And this is the same mistake that a Muslim makes. They're just reading one line. So all we literally have to do in order to get you to really understand what the Bible's saying here, and also for you to be able to engage with maybe Hebrew Israelites or Muslims that may try and present this case, is all you have to do is add a little bit more context to this scenario. We're going to do that by basically going to read the gospel account according to Mark. Why is this significant? Well, ultimately, you're getting additional attestation to this particular scenario here, but Mark's gospel account documents a very key line, which I think is very significant in regards to shattering and dismantling this false claim by these two particular groups for the most part. Ultimately, when you go through Mark's gospel account, you can basically see it's the same event. It's the same woman who is basically coming to Jesus asking for healing for her daughter in regards to casting out a devil. Now, the really important thing in regards to Mark's gospel account is he says something really significant. The scripture talks about, from Mark's view, that she was a Greek. She was a Gentile, right? She was not a Jew. She was not like a half Jew or some Jew who had basically been cast out. She was categorized clearly as a Gentile. This will be significant as we pick it up later on. Now, Mark does not document the line that Matthew documented about Jesus saying he's sent to the house of Israel. But Mark adds in something really interesting in his gospel account, which is really significant. What does he say? When the woman is basically requesting healing for her daughter, in Matthew's gospel account, Matthew wrote and attested to Jesus saying, "Do not give the bread to the dogs," right? It's a common statement. And Mark adds that statement as well. And he adds something really interesting, which gives us additional context. "But Jesus said unto her, Let the children first be filled, for it is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast unto the dogs." Now notice this. Did you catch it? Did you see the key word, the key phrase in this piece of text documented by Mark's gospel account, which Matthew didn't necessarily write down? This is one of the reasons why reading all of the gospels together is very significant. Why? Because Mark wrote down Jesus saying something before about giving the bread to the dogs. He says, Jesus said, "Let the children first be filled." What does that indicate? If Jesus is saying, "Let the children first be filled," that means after the children are filled, who would be filled next? If the children are filled and then the Gentiles, she was a Greek, a Gentile, can then be filled, what does that mean? That therefore means that Jesus not only came for the Jews for salvation, but also for the Gentiles for salvation. In the context of what Jesus is saying, the filling of food here is what? Jesus' message. So if you want this message from Jesus to be saying, let the Israelites be filled, as in I'm coming to the Israelites. What does that mean? You have to take in regards to the second part. Or this is a Greek woman coming to Jesus saying, I need some bread, to follow with the analogy. What does Jesus say? Jesus doesn't say, no, you can't have the bread. He says, let the children, the Israelites, first have the bread, and then there'll be bread made available for the Gentiles. This really alone shatters the claim by the Hebrew Israelites and also by the Muslims. Because even just in the context of what we're actually reading, when you read multiple accounts to basically get the full context, Jesus was clearly saying, if you look at the context in Matthew 15:24, I have come for the Israelites first, and then I'm going to be delivering and disseminating out to the Gentiles also. If Jesus is the one who's filling the Jews, he has to be the same one ultimately filling the Gentiles. So can you see how just by adding one additional layer of context onto Matthew 15:24, it makes it ever so clearly that the Hebrew Israelite or the Muslim that try and makes this claim that Jesus only came for the Jews or Jesus did not come for the Gentiles for salvation, clearly are not even looking at the context in the gospel accounts as a whole. In order for them to hold to this Matthew belief, what do they have to do? They have to now disregard Mark. And the moment they start disregarding pieces of accepted scripture in the Christian faith, what do they become? They now become people that are manipulating, corrupting the Bible for their own gain. And one would have to question if that person ever actually was saved. So if you ever hear a Hebrew Israelite or a Muslim try and make this claim, all you have to do now is just literally go to this passage in Mark, read 4, 5, 6 lines and ask the questions that I pretty much asked in this video and see what they say in regards to that. Now, the fact of the matter is, this is just one claim made against the Bible by 2 different groups. What do you think happens when people make claims on the Bible and we now begin to look into the context?